Present this staged reading of Todd's work called I Got You. And we are blessed that you're here. Enjoy the show.
Charlie! Charlie! Charlie, what the fuck are you doing home from school so early? No, school didn't get out this early. What the fuck are you doing home? Hey, give me the dog. You know we're not supposed to have dogs. God damn it, Charlie. Give me the rope. Give me the rope. We talked about this, right? Fucking mud. Come on! Charlie, get my beer can. Come on! Dad? Dad! Dad, what are you doing? You can't tie into the bumper, Dad! Dad, no, God, no, please, Dad, stop! Stop! Oh, God, he's after me. He's coming! He's coming! Did you see him? The devil's coming. Oh, God. He's coming. I think he's coming, Charlie. You gotta be good. It's okay, Charlie. Calm down. Oh, fuck. Charlie, fuck. He's coming. Charlie, he's fucking God. He's in me. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Help me. Help me, God. The devil. Diane. Diane, what are you doing here? Diane, you should leave. He's coming for me. Get out of here! Todd! Todd, get out of here! That was the first memory of my dad. He was on acid or something. He was hallucinating on drugs. And it's funny, I don't really have that many memories of my dad when I was a kid. But on that night, I'll never forget. Just me and my mom in this rental house, and you know, it was a cute little house, 2-bedroom. Had one of those little I Love Lucy kitchens. I was 4 years old. I mean, it was home. My sister hadn't been born yet, and this was our house. Had a lot of good memories there, too. You know, we had this ditch in the backyard that I would escape to for hours and play with my boats. I used to make these paper boats. I can't do it anymore, but you know, I put them in the river, a small little creek, and I just let them float down as far as they could get until they hit a boulder or a root or something. Then I'd pick it up, and I'd do it again. And each time I start to kind of get into it, like, you know, Todd, get in the boat, come on. We got a perfect storm, there's these waves, come on. And I'd imagine myself in this boat, and I'd just try and get further each time, every time, just a little further. And I'd just keep doing this. I mean, I'd lose hours, just, I think, escaping. Oh, my parents threw the most amazing Winnie the Pooh party at this house. It was amazing. Like, they got the life-size Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, and I looked, you know, I'm in my house, and I'm like, Winnie the Pooh's in my house right now. And it was great. I got to invite all my friends. And we played London Bridge is Falling Down. We did, you know, just a simple march parade around the block. But to me, it felt like we were in a 100-acre wood with all my buddies. And we'd been there like walking through the city for the weekend. Just magical stuff, good memories. Oh, and the big wheel. Who doesn't love a big wheel? I mean, I loved my big wheel. And I knew a lot of friends. You know, it's not like I didn't get around. You know, my mom, she had a job at the time, and so I had my own key. And I'd get home from school a little early, and I'd just kind of cruise around. I'd be like, "Hi, Miss Kelly. Hey, hi. Hey, you know what time Scott gets home? Can he come out and play? He's not? When does he get home? Oh, all right, well, I'm out here. Just tell him I'm out here. Maybe I come over for cookies later. I remember those. Watch this. Woo! Oh. Hey, Dawn. Hey, hi, Rich. Shit. Anyway, I gotta probably pick this mess up. Oh. I crash this big wheel all the time. Hey, I gotta go see Dave. Dave? Dave? Oh, hey. Hey, Dave. Hey, have you seen Kim? Oh, yeah, her bike's broken. Oh, okay, well, hey, I gotta get home. My mom gets home at 3 o'clock, and so maybe we can play after dinner, okay? All right, bye! Bye! Oh. Yeah, so my mom, she had taken a job during that time, and she didn't get home until about 3 o'clock. She hated working. She just wanted to be home. And my dad, he usually got home a little bit late. I never really saw my dad, you know, like he was a carpenter, and so he was gone before the sun came up, and he was home after the sun came down. But when he got home, I used to like to, you know, he was beat, kind of grumpy, but just more beat. And he'd sit on his red sofa. And for some reason, I used to like to take off his boots. Like, he'd sit down, and I'd unlace them. I mean, I guess they put laces on boots. And I'd take my time, and I'd put the boots to the side. And I must have taken my sweet time, because usually by the time the boots were off, he was snoring. Oh, there were other times. Other times, you know, when I would be in my room and I could hear the fighting in the other room, arguing over just BS, you know, money, bounce checks, drinking, getting home late. It was just BS, and you know, I already started to recognize the signs of drunk dad, and when he came home, I just knew it was going to be one of those nights. Sometimes I'd just lay in my bed and I'd be like, God dang, you know, maybe he's just pissed. He's got a kid and a wife. You know, like we were just cramping his style. He was a guy that, you know, he made friends easily and always kind of the life of the party. One night we were there, and he came home and he was already drinking. He was drunk, and they were going to go to the party next door. And I could hear him fighting over money already. And he was like, Diane! God damn it, Diane, where's all the cash? I tried to get money out today, there's no fucking cash. What do you mean you bounced a check? Again? For what? Groceries. I just gave you $350 last week. Where's the fucking money? Don't give me any of that shit. God damn it, Diane. Where's the... Shut up! Shut up! Get out of my face. You're an idiot! this is when my dad really kind of started to become his dad. You know, he'd never be able to shake that guy that drugged that dog down the road. He was kind of screwed. You know, he probably should have never finished 7th grade, really. We dropped out in 10th grade. I don't know what his parents were thinking, you know. 3 of his younger brothers dropped out of high school. It was sad, you know, my dad, he was when he was 20, he was a shoe salesman. And that's when he met my mom, and she was only 18. She's a year younger than my oldest son is now. And a little while later, you know, pregnant. Uh-oh. You know, baby on the way. Me. And, you know, that was an accident. You know, they weren't intending on getting married. I just came along and, you know, they had to figure it out. That's what people did back then. I get it, you know. It was a different time. You know, parents were strict. They encouraged you to, you know, get married, right or wrong. If you were making a mistake, you were making a mistake. It's almost like, you know, my mom's side of the family, a lot warmer, a lot more established, but they were still kind of old school. My grandpa was a career Marine. He got 2 Purple Hearts in the in World War II, and you know, he was one of the best influences in my life, especially in my 20s. In fact, I got 2 Purple Hearts on my arm, kind of in honor of him. But he was still old school, you know. He was like, "Hey, you did the deed, you know. Go figure it out. This is your responsibility." You know, almost like it was punishment. I am glad I was born, though. I am glad I was born. My dad, he just didn't have the tools, you know. Nor would he ever care to find them. You know, love is all that kids need to see. None of that other crap matters. None of it. No, he had chosen his path, and it was set. Diane, Mrs. Peirce, come on in. No, come on in. Bring the kids, please. I wanted you to bring them. Come on in. Okay, so we've only got 30 minutes, so let's go ahead and grab a seat and kind of get right into this. Okay, so Charlie got arrested on Friday. All right, so he's already been in jail for 3 days. I know, well, the courts are closed on the weekend, and this is the soonest we could get you in here. So, what I'm going to highly recommend is that you bring the kids into the courtroom today. All right? Now, what are their names? Todd and Marianne? Okay. Hi, guys. So, what you want to do is you want to get in there early, and you want to get a seat, you know, right behind Charlie. You know, listen, we've done this 1,000 times, and the judge is just a little more lenient when he comes in and he sees Charlie's got, you know, 2 kids and a wife to support. Okay? So, we got about 20 minutes. Like, let's get you in there and get settled, and I'll see you in there, okay? Come on. All right. Okay, I'll see you in there. All right, just a jiff. Hey, Mayor, that's awesome, huh? Hey, look, Dad's in an orange jumpsuit. He's got chains around his ankles. Awesome. Hey, maybe he'll take us to Pizza Hut afterwards. You know, I think right then I knew that our life was going to be a little different. But even at 6, you know, I knew that it should be better. Like, this wasn't normal. Kids shouldn't see their dad in shackles. thing is, my dad was actually doing his best. You have to remember, he dropped out at 10th grade and didn't have much of an education, and now he's 22 and he's got a kid. You know, he could hardly spell a complete sentence. It was really weird as a kid knowing that. Like, I don't think he spelled our name right once. He used to drive my mom crazy, you know, D-I-N-E, Diane, right? She'd get a birthday card like 3 weeks later, and it's D-I-I-N or D-I-N-E, you know? And finally, I'm like, Dad, it's Todd. It's 2 D's. It's 2 D's, T-O-D-D. Come on, I'm 10. It was sad. You know, it was hard to explain. But luckily, you know, things turned around a little bit. They lived in a house for about 6 years, and they made a little bit of money. And then they said, you know, let's go make a fresh start. Let's go build a house in the mountains. So they hunted around for a lot of land, and then they decided to build their house. And when I say build the house, my dad was a carpenter, right? So he was good with his hands, and so he put together a team, with my uncles. They all were kind of craftsmen. So they built that house. It was my dad and my uncles, and once in a while, my cousin Bob and I, we got to pitch in on the weekends when we weren't in school, you know, scrapping lumber or just hanging out. It was fun. I mean, honestly, living in the mountains was the best experience of my life. What better place to grow up? I mean, you had this entire forest as your mountain range. Hiking, motorcycling, you know, some of the best friends I made, some of the best friends that I have today, I met in the mountains. You know, Scott, Rich, you know, we found each other, and we had each other's backs. You know, we had similar family challenges, and it was, it was kind of like a stand by me thing. And even 40 years later, we still got each other. One of the best Christmases was in this house. You know, once the house was built, everybody was excited. My parents were excited, and we were going to start this brand new tradition. And so we had the whole family coming up for this one, and it was a big family. It was my grandparents, of course, and my mom, and her 3 sisters, and they had their husbands, and everybody was having kids. So it was all the kids, the cousins, and to make things even better, it snowed like 2 feet the night before. And, you know, I'll never forget my dad. He was so proud that day. Number one, he had this loving support always with my mom's side of the family. And he really did just kind of, you know, shine in that. But today, we got a Christmas tradition going. There's a fresh snow, and the whole goal was to go out into those woods and find our Christmas tree and cut it down and then decorate it. I was proud of my dad that day. So here he is with his axe, you know, kind of at the helm, ready to lead the family out into the forest. And we all did. We walked out into that forest and chomped through the high snow. And no kidding, I think we went for a mile. And it was right out of a movie. It was like thick forest, and then suddenly we're in this meadow, and there's this tree. It's perfect. It's like 12 feet tall. I mean, we had big ceilings in the house, and it was just there, shining. And so we're all like, yes, that's the tree, that's the tree. So my dad runs over with his axe, and we're watching him, and he's, you know, old school, just kind of chopping the thing down. Timber! 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 Oh, it was so fun. And then we all took turns just dragging the thing, making tracks back to the house. It was a special Christmas, maybe one of the best. Now, that was my best childhood Christmas. Living in the mountains took a lot of work too, though. Our driveway was like the size of 2 football fields. And we didn't have a plow. Well, we did have a plow. You're looking at it. That was a long driveway to shovel. We had a lot of work up there. I mean, there was always something to do. We're cutting wood, we're shoveling, raking. Just seemed like there was always something to do. We were busy, something to maintain. And if there wasn't something to maintain, you know, you're just kind of messing around building stuff. But this one weekend, it was like, oh, we were at my aunt and uncle's, and it was like all hands on deck. It was, you know, it was time to cut that winter wood. And so we all met down there, and we're, you know, we got these little crews. I'm on my dad's crew. And, well, actually, it's just him and me. And we're, you know, we're cutting wood. And he's like, Todd, God damn it, lift the log up. Todd, lift the fucking log up. No, Todd, lean it over the other log so I can cut it. I don't want to get my fucking blade stuck. I gotta tell you everything? God damn it. Just get out of the way. Let me do it, okay? Let me do it. No, just stack the wood, okay? You can stack the wood right over here. Todd, just stack the wood right here in a row, okay? Don't be such a space case. God damn. I'm sorry. Let's just take a break, okay? Let's take a break for a minute. I need a break anyway. Oh, we had cut a lot of wood though, hadn't we? This will warm your belly up. You want to sit? You want to sit? Put a little hair on your chest. All right. Whew. You know, I've been drinking this since I was 13. Used to sneak it from your grandpa. It's the best. Yukon Jack. Well, look, we still got a lot of cleaning up to do on wood to cut. Let's get back at it. Okay, come on. You go grab that log off. What are you looking at? Stop. Hey, what are you? Oh. Hey, here comes your mom. Diane. No, I'm fine, Diane. I tripped over the saw. I'm fine. Okay? Look how much wood we cut. I'm fine. Todd's fine. Look at it. He's fine. Hey. Hey, we got work to do. You can't leave. Hey, you can't leave. Todd, get back here. Hey. Oh, fine. Just drive off then. Fine. Hey, fuck both of you. I'll see you when I see you. I don't know how my mom did it. 19 years they stayed married. But she knew that changes needed to be made. You know, she needed changes. So she got us going to church. Probably one of the best things for our family, actually. I mean, it may have saved a life, to be honest. I mean, my dad was sober for 4 or 5 years, I think. Probably more. Now, I know church was good for the family, and it was a good thing for us to do. But I sure wish my mom could have found a church closer to the house. You know, it was an hour away in Denver. I'm like 11 or 12 years old. And for 4 years, every Sunday, 8 o'clock, we're in the car, and we got to go to church and be there by 9. And then we've got service from 10 to 12. And if we're lucky, we're back in the car at 12:30. You know, grab a little wiener schnitzel, a couple chili dogs, and head home. Hopefully we get home in time for the Bronco game. I was a big Bronco fan, and you know, nothing like watching some Morton to Moses back then. Game ends at 5 o'clock, it's a 3-hour game, and perfect, you know, maybe it's time for a little nap. No, perfect. We gotta be back in the car at 5:30, because we got evening service at 6:30. I didn't get home until like 10 o'clock on Sunday nights. And when we did get home, she still made it home. You know, we'd be hungry, and I can remember her just whipping up a fried egg sandwich, throw a little cheese on it, and you know, she just kind of had a line. Got the whole family hooked up, and then we went to bed. It was, to be honest, I was a little intimidated by church. You know, it was one of those evangelical type churches where people could, but sometimes, you know, I wanted to fit in. I'd stay after church, and, you know, one of the brethren or the brothers, they'd meet me down there on the altar, and, you know, I can remember really like praying hard. You know, like, dear Lord, you know, please, you know, let me hear your voice. I want to hear your voice in my, you know, in my body. I want to be able to speak. You know, Lord, help me. And, you know, the brethren would be kind of rubbing my back and be like, Todd, let go. Just let the Lord in. Just let the Lord in. And I just couldn't get it. I mean, I felt like I had let the Lord in, but I couldn't understand this tongue thing. And in a weird way, it was a lot of pressure. I mean, it was kind of sad. I mean, sometimes I'd cry. Like, I tried so hard, and it just never happened. And then there was a part of me that was like, maybe I'm not even worthy. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe I'm not worthy. But then it was that moment I just kind of made a decision. Nah, bullshit, this is all fake. 6 years later, you know, money was really tight, and I don't know, my dad was maybe working every couple of days, and we had to sell the mountain house. I mean, we had to sell in a hurry. It was, you know, payments were not being made, and we needed to kind of get rid of that thing. So my parents decided to sell it and move to the city, down to Littleton. I was a junior when we transferred, which was kind of hard, but to be honest with you, I probably needed it. My grades were starting to really get bad, which I didn't understand because I was ditching class all the time. So when we get to the city, you know, my mom, she was a rock star at this point. You know, times were tough, and she was soaring. She got a job with the DA's office, and she didn't have much education either. It's kind of a coveted job, and she knew it, and she rode that job all the way through retirement. And you know, when Dad wasn't paying the bills, she got a second job. She was a waitress. She was really a rock star. But after we moved, all I really cared about was football. You know, it was kind of my sport, and I needed it. So I sought out my coach, and I got integrated into the program. Football was my only equalizer. I had so much stuff going on at this point. It was like a great way for me to get onto the field and express myself. I mean, I was looking for blood. You know, the biggest hit, the hardest hit, the better. I was two different people, really. I could be this really fun Todd guy, and then when I was able to put that helmet on, you know, I was just a different person. It really helped me. I honestly thought football was maybe my way out. Then suddenly football ended. You know, it was all happening so fast. Now what? You know, senior year just became a blur. And one big party. The next thing you know, all my friends are talking about college, and they're getting excited, and they're traveling to look at a school here, traveling to look at a school there. And I'm like, college? College was never even discussed in our house. It was too expensive. I never even thought of college as an option, really. Never. I never thought past my senior year. I built my whole kind of high school existence with the expectation of not going to college. I mean, why would I? The Peirce family doesn't go to college. Hell, my dad dropped out. His 3 brothers dropped out. I did realize, though, at that moment, that it was up to me. I needed to take responsibility for myself, but it was overwhelming. You know, it was overwhelming. My family was falling apart, and I was mad. I was just mad. And then came the night where I'm just sitting on the chair in the living room, watching a little TV. My mom is just, you know, she's on a phone in the kitchen. She's on one of those old phones that's got the cord attached to it, and I can hear her giggling and laughing with a friend. My sister's happy. She's over on the other side of the house. You know, it was just home. It was just one of those everyday nights. And then my dad gets home a little bit late, and I can tell he'd been drinking. You know, I'm 17 years old, and the signs were super clear to me at this point. And he tells my sister, he's like, "Hey, knock it off." She doesn't, and so, you know, he walks up to her, and he grabs her by the arm, right? And he says, "God damn it, I said knock it off." Now the house kind of, you know, my mom's attention, my attention, but he's got her by the arm. And he's pretty fit, and, you know, he could probably do a little bit of damage. And up until this point, I never would have crossed my dad. But something happened inside of me. And I walked over to him and I said, "Hey, let her go." And he said, "What are you going to do about it?" And he gave me a little push. This just all happened so fast, you know. And I could see him. He's looking at me in the eyes, you know. He was locked on. Gave me the push. And he had those, you know, those road rage eyes. I'd seen him before. So I knew it was on. I knew it was about to go down. So I grabbed that motherfucker by the throat, and I fucking threw him around that living room 3 or 4 times. I mean, we knocked over tables. I broke a TV. I'd had enough. 17 years. And I had enough. Next thing you knew, I body slammed him to his back. And I had him by the throat. And I'm sitting there. And like this flash just goes over me. I got my dad by the throat, and we're now looking at each other in the eyes again. I just beat up my dad. And I did it because he was going to hurt my sister. The magnitude of that was just so big. I'll never forget, he just, you know, looked up and he tapped me on the cheek. And he said, "I'm sorry, son." I knew he was sorry. I mean, I could see it in his eyes. My mom was yelling in the background, and my sister's crying. And I let him up, and he gets up, and he walks out the front door. That was it, really. I mean, that was it. That was really the last time I'd have a relationship with my dad. 17 years old, I just, you know, kind of just threw it all away. It felt like maybe for everybody. But it had to happen. Mom would never take it back. I cried that night for 2 hours or more, several days thereafter as well. But I just, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was without breath. Like, I couldn't catch a breath. I was crying so hard. Because I knew it was over. Dad was gone. We probably, wouldn't see much of him or very little of him from that point on. I knew my mom was for sure serious this time. Divorce was imminent, and you know what? So was my anger. I was more lost now than ever before. Mom's struggling now. Dad's not pitching in. She always found a way to rise, though. She always found a way to stay persistent. She's my angel in this whole thing. Thank God she never gave up on us. Can you imagine? If both parents would have given up, thank God. She's my angel. So a few months before high school, before graduation, I've got all this, pent up stuff going on, and I'm not really thinking. I'm still kind of floundering, and I find myself in a bar fight. Back then you could drink 3-2 beer, and they had 3-2 clubs, and we did plenty of that. And this one night, this guy I'm hanging out with, he gets jealous over his stupid girlfriend, and the next thing you know, we're in a big bar fight, and the rest was history. Really, 5 guys would get arrested. And I was one of them. I'll never forget being in that courtroom, standing in front of the judge in my orange and my shackles. And my mom's sitting there in the courtroom again. Only this time it's not for her husband, it's for her son. Looking around me and I'm like, what the fuck, Todd? Buddy, this is not what your plan is. What are you doing? Todd, oh my God, these guys expect to be here. Look at them. They know each other. You guys actually know each other. Buddy, what are you doing? You've got to get things together. This is no joke. This is no joke. This is your life. Todd, what the fuck are you doing? You got to claim your life. I came up with this new mantra in jail. And I said, I got you, Todd. I got you. Doesn't matter about anybody else. I got you. You're going to figure this out. I needed to change everything. When I got out, I don't care how much money I had or didn't have. I didn't care how smart I was or how dumb I thought I was. It didn't matter. I was just going to go out and I was going to make changes. I wanted a family. I wanted kids. This is not the life I wanted. I got you, Todd. I got you. Whew. And I did. Man, I got out and I wanted to get the hell out of Colorado. Get away from the snow, and all the bullshit that led up to my life at that point. But ironically, God had a different plan. I guess he didn't think I was ready to change, or maybe not committed. So I ended up getting in a motorcycle accident that summer that I about died in. I guess I have one more lesson to learn about not taking life for granted. So I'm in the hospital, and I'm on the operating table, and I've got these lights above me. I'm hardly conscious. And I have this priest come in. I'm in severe pain. Doctors all around me. And the priest is now over my head, and he's literally giving me my last rites. And I know it. And he finishes, and then they wheel me off into the operating table room. You know, I lost nearly all my blood. I think I had like 100 cc's left. I did lose my spleen and my kidney. And I did get that one last lesson of you can't take life for granted. My travel plans were obviously on hold because I was in and out of the hospital for 3 or 4 months, and my mom, she'd take good care of me. I was in a lot of pain. But after I was well, I was still determined. I got my feet back on the ground. I got in touch with the 4 buddies that were going to go with me, and we just loaded up the car, and we set out for our destination. You know, all we had was desire for change. And this is the thing that really stuck with me at this point. I learned the value of tenacity, you know? And in my mind, that's like how to survive. You know, you just go out there and you figure it out. There are no other options. Don't give up. Just keep taking one step forward. You're going to figure it out. Ironically, we end up in Tucson, and I end up reconnecting with my high school sweetheart, Karen. She's down at U of A in Tucson, and so I get to know that 100-mile stretch of I-10 pretty well. And we do that long-distance dating thing for a couple of years. By the time I was 20, I said, you know what? The hell with Mesa. I want to be closer to Karen, so I moved to Tucson. And I did it the same way I did in Mesa. I loaded up my car. I didn't have much savings. And I made it down to Tucson without a job or a place to live. But I figured it out. Within a week, I had an amazing bartending job. I was enrolled in school. And I found an apartment, and a good one, like a 1-bedroom apartment for $350. So my college was a little unconventional, you know? It was apartments, work, and school. I still loved it. You know, I fell in love with acting in Tucson. I froze up in a speech class once, and my professor said, Todd, you need to take an acting class. And so I did. I mean, I would never have thought about taking an acting class. But I was determined to have good grades and get my studies back on track. So I took that acting class. And ironically, I fell in love with it. And my professor said, Todd, you should audition for this play. And so I auditioned for Our Country's Good. It's a period piece where we got to, you know, dress as like the Redcoats. And I got a part. Like, I got one of the leading parts in the very first play I auditioned for. And then that play won state, not didn't win, but it went to state competition. We got to go all the way up to Phoenix, which was a big deal for me, and compete against all these other state colleges in theater. It had really opened up my eyes. And for the first time, you know, I found my passion again. Mayor? Hey, Mayor, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be in here. How'd you find me? Oh, shit, sweetie. Oh, Mayor. I'm sorry, sweetie. Listen. I never should have taught you how to do cocaine. I never should have showed you that. Honey, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want you to see me like this, okay? I need you to leave. I don't want to be here. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Your mom doesn't love me anymore. Todd's not even talking to me anymore. No, I don't want to put it down. I just don't want to be here, Mary. I'm so sorry I let you down. Thank God I'm not in Colorado. I couldn't be there. Oh my God, it was a disaster. And my poor sister, she's now getting the brunt of it. She's only 16 years old. She needed a loving father just as much as anybody. She didn't need a father teaching her how to do cocaine. Even today, that guy has no idea how many lives he's impacted. But man, I'm in a really good place, I'm in a really good place. And I gotta be on my path. Later, I was able to secure a job with Anthony Kennedy Shriver and of Best Buddies. And he saw something in me in Tucson, and he said, Todd, I want you to be my regional director in LA. I couldn't believe it. It was like Anthony had me. So, like Mesa and like Tucson, I said, this is too good of an opportunity. Plus, it gets me closer to acting. So I loaded up my car. No place to live, no job. Oh, I had a job, I guess. But I moved out to LA. And within 3.5 years, I started pursuing acting full time. And I let go of Best Buddies because I started to book commercials. Karen and I were really on cloud nine. I mean, there was one time we had an ad agency fly us to Switzerland to do a cookie commercial, and I shot for 1 day. But we stayed for 10 days in Switzerland and didn't pay for a dime. So here we are in our early 20s. We're traveling to Switzerland for an acting gig. We had a driver waiting at the airport with our names on it, the fancy hotel. It was like, wow, is this really going to be our life? It wasn't, but we fantasized. We never did achieve the glam of Hollywood, but we did get a taste. I remember shooting this commercial on the black lot of Universal, And it was a weird experience because we had all these, tourist buses that were going by, and it was like 75 degrees, blue California sky, and the production team brings in all these ice trucks, and with no time at all, it's like sunset, and it's snowing. And I was, again, carrying a Christmas tree in the commercial for Owens Corning Bar. And it was my first realization of like, wow, this is total make-believe again. Ice trucks throwing snow? I mean, there was 2 inches of snow on the ground. I remember this one time, Karen, she got starstruck. We had the opportunity to go to the premiere of Fight Club. And so here we are at the after-hour party, and Brad and Jennifer Aniston are standing over there, and Karen just can't get her eyes off of him. Now, I don't think she has the guts to go up and actually say, "Hi, Brad, I'm Karen." So she just kind of casually strolls by him and kind of, And from that point on, Karen's met Brad Pitt. Yeah, it was fun. I shot almost 70 national commercials there. It was surreal. To think, 8 years ago, I was literally on the floor holding my dad by the throat, thinking that, man, life is doomed. Karen and I got married, in our early 20s, and we were ready to start a family. It was time. And I'll never forget Hayden being born. I was in the room with her when he arrived, and man, I was overjoyed. All the anticipation, just coming to the moment, It's a boy? It's a boy! It's a boy! Oh my God! This is real! Karen, we have a boy! He's beautiful! I was a dad! 2 years later, we got to watch the birth of our son, Carson. Becoming parents was the best thing that ever happened to us. But I went a little overboard, I didn't want to be the dad that I had, so like the whole house was child-proofed. We had the best and the safest car, the safest child seat, the strollers, all the gear. I got you, boys. And we've been making memories ever since. I haven't talked to my dad in over 10 years. And literally prior to that, I decided I was going to give it one last ditch effort. And so I became pen pals with him because he was in jail for a year on a DUI. And so we communicated via pen pal. And then he got out and he fell back into his tracks, and I just decided not to ever let my family into that life. Ironically, it saddens me today, really, that just last week I learned my dad got bailed out of jail again for his 7th DUI. This time he rear-ended a cop. You can't make this stuff up. He's 72 years old now, and I imagine this sentence is not going to be a light one. It really does. It breaks my heart. But I had this epiphany. Life is short. We're so lucky. We're so lucky that we get to choose to surround ourselves with the ones that we love and the ones that love us. I had this thought that, without my dad and all of our struggles, I never would have become the man I am today. I never would have loved as hard as I love. Everything I do is because of him. Everything I learned how to do was because he showed me not how to do it. I just felt like I needed to write him a letter of gratitude. Dear Dad, I just wanted to thank you. My life is full. Yeah, we've got life struggles. But I'm here to tell you, man, I did it. I proved to myself that with love, you can have an amazing life. And I knew it. I knew it. That father-son relationship was meant to have meaning in death. I'm still learning, I'm still growing here, but I'm embracing the journey. They're young men now, and they're well on their way. The life we've shared is beyond words. Dad, we've swam in oceans, we've hiked amazing 14ers, we've played catch in the backyard, we've traveled. Dad, we used to have family dinners every night. I watched both of my boys be born, changed their diapers, read them bedtime stories. I was able to drop them off and pick them up from school, almost their entire education. What a blessing. We've had those father-son talks. And no, they didn't like them. Because of you, Dad, all 4 of us Peirce boys, my sons, Hayden and Carson, and my nephew, Ian, we're breaking new ground, and we're using love and tenacity as our guide. We're not afraid. We got each other. And we're changing the Peirce name. Karen and I have been married for 25 years. We've tackled it. We've had an amazing journey. We've got a great story of our own. She's beaten cancer twice, Dad. She's an amazing soul, and we're blessed to have her in our lives. Dad, I hope you know that for most of my life I wanted this for us. And I think you did too. I'm sorry we couldn't make it happen. I'm sorry that you didn't have a good father and you missed out on all that. I'm sorry we missed out on both sides. But I don't fault you, Dad. I forgive you. Thank you for showing me all that I could have missed and for giving me the strength to want more. And I love you, Dad, and I'll continue to pray for you, and I hope that you find joy and peace. Love your son, Todd.